the end of this, it's actually running right now in the wizard. And so we can show you that right here. So we'll click refresh. All right, so here's the MLE Beast. It's running locally on port 8000. Just a little note about the UI. So this is the run screen that we have. If we want to do a new run, we push new run button. There's also an admin screen too, and on the admin screen, I could just show you that. So we can set up different defaults, and we could do some database cleaning, but I think I'll go over that in a different video. So here we see the different runs that we have, and we have completed, canceled, and failed on the states. We have the task that it was meant to accomplish, and you can see that listed here. And you can see that the accuracy of each run is listed here. And there's two modes, greenfield and brownfield, and then the total elapsed time. So I think I'll just click into one of these here. And you can kind of see the layout of the UI. So as the run is executing, we can see that there's a acyclic graph, a DAG, that gets executed, and you can see all the different steps that are involved here. Down here we can see the console. So this is when we start a run, the console output comes here, so we can see that. We can also see the LLM calls, so we can see exactly what the LLM's doing and what the prompts are, and then what it's getting back. On the activity side, these are just sort of internal events that the MLE Beast relies on, so we can see all those and inspect those if we want. And then a research log and a git log. And this run didn't save that information, but normally it would. So just kind of looking through here, let's see if we can find one. Okay, you can see this one at the top here. We've got the task and the details. So we can look at the details of any run. We can see its status is completed, mode greenfield, and we can see what the task is there. And then we can also see down here the total LLM spend. So this run was 9 cents, had 268 LLM calls and 1.5 million tokens. So you can see that there's like pretty accurate and very robust cost tracking within this tool. Click on the training here. Oh, it's not doing anything. Okay, bummer. And we can also look at the report. So in this case, we can see that there's 4 of 6 experiments. If we click on implement here, this is the performance trajectory. So you can kind of see it did a few experiments, but kept 4 of them, did 6. So, and you can also see the experiment tree here. And if you click on each one of these, it will show you what the hypothesis was during that, during that run. And we could see exactly what the LLM was, the proposal it was making, and then whether it was kept or not. And we can click through on each one of these if we want. There's also something nice on the report. So we can click this report. And this is a nice HTML report that actually gets written out into the directory. And so you can review this offline, even doesn't have to be within MLE Beast, but you can see that there's all the details here that are kept for each hypothesis and whether it was reverted or kept. All right, so let's try a new run. So we're going to come back to the front here and click New Run. Now, since we're running in a container, we can use this auto-generated path if we want, or we can change it. Just to note that if we change it to something that like doesn't exist, hopefully it gives us an error. So we'll just call this workspaces, slash test run 1 and task description. So let's write, let's train an image classifier on MNIST. So give it a pretty easy target for just for the first run. Dataset path, if we leave this blank, it'll download the data for MNIST. This is a greenfield. We could do existing, but this is a greenfield run because there's, it's MNIST. So accuracy, higher is better. Existing environment, we'll leave that empty, and we'll click set up workspace. So this is going to set up a virtual environment for us. And we can start the run. Okay, so now we can see that we're actually running, and it runs immediately. So we could just look at the console here and see that it's currently installing ML frameworks into a virtual environment at our workspace location. So ML Frameworks is a open source package that I created, and it really packages everything that the Beast needs. I found that LLMs and the Beast was actually very bad at trying to debug pip install errors, and so a lot of times it would find, it'd be trying to do an install and it would get confused by what pip was telling it and go into this hole and just burn tokens. And so I finally got fed up and said, okay, enough is enough. We're going to make this ML Frameworks, which is a open source package that you could just download if you want. So the MLE Beast actually uses this package, and it uses poetry and installs whatever it needs there. So it's much more, I found that the run success was much higher after doing this. So we'll just kind of wait for that to finish. It's going to take a minute or two to finish. All right, it's coming to the end there, and it looks like it found CUDA, and it prints out what torch version it's using. And now it actually initializes a Git repo in that same environment there, so and puts it on a branch. So the idea being that the Beast uses Git heavily during the hill climb portion. Okay, now we can see we're in something called data analysis, and so this is basically an EDA, exploratory data analysis, and we can actually see what's going on here. Is we can see all these tool calls from the data analysis agent. And you are an elite ML engineer doing EDA. The user is giving you a task, a data set. So what's going through here is actually trying to figure out exactly what's with the data. So in this case, it's MNIST, and it's doing a data analysis. The first part of the data analysis is to download the data. And once that's done, then it goes to this critic, which says, hey, did you find the data? Did you analyze it properly? And so kind of core in this pattern, you'll see this in the workflow, is that there's an actor and a critic. In this case, the actor is the data analysis, and then the critic looks at the outputs and said, did you create a data analysis.md file? Did you analyze the data properly? And this is kind of core to the whole workflow here, where the MLE Beast is a series of actors and critics that are tied together in these retry loops. Now under the LLM, we can see we're in baseline mode here, and you can see that we're doing a bunch of tool calls. So here the prompt is you're an ML engineer building the initial baseline for a project. So that's why this is called baseline, is because this is the first time that we're writing the code. So we're going to just create a baseline implementation, and then we're going to train it, we're going to test it, and if it meets our accuracy, great. If not, we're going to go into this hill climbing loop, where this is Karpathy's auto research loop that's embedded in this harness here. So, but the first call is just to the baseline implementation. Okay, now it goes to testing. So for every time the agent writes code, it's asked to also write a test, and then something executes the test, and if the test fails, it'll kick it back to coding, and that'll kind of retry until it's successful. All right, now we go into training. So if we click on training here, once the training logs start showing up here, we'll start to see some graphs that are going to be written in this area here, and then we can kind of watch the training progress. Future update, I think, would be connecting into something like weights and biases, or Hugging Face Track.io or something. Oh, and there we have an error, so let's see what happens. If it's going to recover from this error or not. This will be a good test, actually. You can see our cost counter as well. So far we've spent a penny on this run, so this is generally pretty cost effective. If you get tired of looking at dark mode, you can click this button and it'll switch it to light mode for those people that like, but I prefer dark mode. Okay, so this time it got kicked back to baseline because basically the code didn't work. So it tried to do training, ran an error, and analyzed that. It says, oh, okay, we got an error. We got to kick it all the way back to coding. So that's the retry loop in action. Here we can see that error that we saw too. So we also saw that on the console, but this error is also captured in the event log. Some various log messages that are going by. Now the agent's writing tests. Okay, looks like we passed all the tests, so that's good. Okay, now we're back into training again. I think that's the old error. So, okay, there we go. Yep, we're starting to see the graph show up there. As it goes through the different epochs, we'll be able to see the performance. Now if we go back to the front here, we can see that the current run is showing up on the top there. So you can see our cost is still pretty low. Training, still training, so we'll come back in a minute. Now it passed training this time, so I didn't find any issues there. And now it's running evaluate. So with the evaluate, it's running, on the test, on the hold output. So what it does there is it takes the best model checkpoint, and then we'll install them, refresh the model from the checkpoint, and then it will and it'll run on the holdout test split there. So this will give us the accuracy of the model. Now it's going to find those results from evaluation. You can see it's doing a bunch of finder tool calls to find the results. And once that's done, it will send it to the critic. There we go. And the run is completed. So we can look at the report, and we achieved 0.99 accuracy, so that was higher than our target. So we only took one step, only one experiment, 12 minutes total elapsed. LLM cost was 2 cents, and we can kind of see the different baselines there, but there's only really one baseline. All right, and then look under research. We could see that we've got an entry there, and then also in the Git log, you can see that we've got an entry there as well. So we could see that we have the initial workspace set up, and then a baseline and add research log. Okay, so let's go check this out. So workspaces/test run 1. All right. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay, so we go into test run 1, and here's all the code that it actually wrote. So we can look at the research log, which is not very, but we can do also a get status in here and get log. We can see that everything gets logged to get. So yeah, so that is a tour of the MLE Beast. Hope you enjoyed it. Please try it out, and I'd love to hear your feedback about it.